Clyde Hooker was all about the team. He said often, we don't have any superstars here. What we do have is a group of people that work really well together, and together they're successful. When he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, I think he had the shortest acceptance speech ever. He got up on stage and he said, "I've been blessed to work with many great people in my life. On behalf of them, I accept this award." And then he walked off.
What I remember most about meeting him that day was his humility, his kindness, his openness, his willing to visit with anyone who approached him and interact with him. And his interactions were all light, cheery, engaging. You felt like when you talked to Clyde, you were the most important person in his life at that moment because he gave you that focus, he gave you that time, he gave you that attention. And walking through the factory with Clyde, he knew everyone. When I say that, I'm not exaggerating. He knew everyone. And there is a difference between knowing and knowing, if you understand what I mean. He would engage with workers working at a sanding machine. The worker would stop, Clyde would visit, and it wasn't superficial. It wasn't, "How's the sanding going today?" It wasn't how the day was. It was, "How's your wife? How's your son? How's your family?" He knew all the folks in that plant, and it was a gift that Clyde had.
Clyde taught me through the years working for him to give 200% of everything that you gave, and it didn't matter what your job was. It didn't matter what your title was. It didn't matter if you cleaned the bathrooms or if you sat back there and you answered the phone in customer service. You wanted to give your all to Clyde Hooker.
I think Clyde as a whole, he was really the total package. His intelligence, his memory, unbelievable common sense. He was just the go-to guy for any kind of question you might have. And I think his humility, integrity, everybody respected Clyde Hooker. And what's amazing today, he's been gone for quite a while, but he is still the face of this company for those people that knew him.
J. Clyde Hooker Jr. was a furniture industry statesman, community benefactor, decorated World War II veteran, and the visionary leader of Hooker Furniture from 1960 to 2000. After his retirement, he remained active with the company as chairman emeritus until his death in 2010. Clyde left a legacy of core values that are an enduring compass for Hooker Furniture. No matter how you define a life well lived, Clyde achieved extraordinary success. His numerous trophies, honors, and awards include a Bronze Star from his service in the European theater of World War II, the Pillar of the Industry Award, induction into the American Furniture Hall of Fame, and a key to the city of Martinsville. No matter what awards he received, what mattered most to Clyde was his impact on the lives of ordinary people. Clyde's entire life was a model of how to make a positive difference in the lives of others. He built enduring greatness through his blend of personal humility, integrity, empathy, and professional will. By sharing the impact that Clyde had on the lives of current and former employees, sales representatives, customers, and board members in this video, our purpose is to keep his legacy alive for years to come at Hooker Furniture, along with the timeless core values and practices he personified. Clyde Hooker led the company through years of expansion and innovation during America's golden industrial age and beyond. When he was elected president in 1960, the company had 375 employees and $4.4 million in sales. Upon his retirement in 2000, the company had 2,000 employees, over $250 million in sales, and had already become recognized as one of the most respected furniture brands in the world, with a reputation for innovation and quality. Clyde's ability to build enduring greatness revolved around vital and intentional practices. First was his priority for cultivating relationships. He was a good listener. He was kind, empathetic, approachable, and valued every individual. Second was his ability in motivating people. Central to all Clyde's practices was how he modeled integrity. He was authentic, honest, fair, generous, and consistent. Another theme of Clyde's life was his propensity for taking action. He had a strong work ethic, was decisive, and highly involved in the community and industry. Finally, Clyde led the company to be adaptable. He was always a proponent for embracing change, and he inspired our company to thrive in change.
So beyond working hard and telling the truth, Clyde also cared a lot. He cared about people more than he cared about business.
What I remember most about Clyde was his ability, or the way that he treated people. I can remember when I first started with the company, working in the factory, and his ability to go through the factory and call everybody by name.
He was a leader. He was our boss. But I think more important than that, he was our friend. You always had that sense that you could go to him and talk about anything, whether it was work or not. He was there to listen. And he really listened. He didn't just hear you, he listened to you.
It was more about being present. And I think Clyde taught that. He taught how to be present, and that's probably the biggest thing I learned from him. But we still learn from him every day, I think.
At the October Furniture Market, I met with Clyde in a little telephone room that was about 4 by 4. We sat there for about an hour and just hit it off. And I walked out of that room going, wow, I've really got chemistry with this person. What I didn't understand at the time was that Clyde had chemistry with everyone.
And I was very fortunate when I was 21 to be hired out of college by Mr. Hooker. And there's a couple things I remember about him when I was in the office, that he would always take 5 or 10 or 15 minutes out of his day each day to talk to me about life and about the company, which direction the company was going.
Some years ago, Clyde came to the state of Wisconsin, where I work, for a major store opening. And so we drove up the highway and went to a small rural area and went to this independent store, family run, and Clyde and I visited with the whole staff. Well, he made such an impression, and it meant so much to that store that Clyde Hooker himself would come and spend time with him. 3 years later, this store finally made it to the market. Clyde was sitting there in the lobby of the Hooker Furniture showroom, as he always did, and as soon as Jane walked in the door, he stood up and he said, "Well, hi Jane, how good to see you again." He named every one of her children. He asked about all the staff.
Every customer he recognized, and he knew the same things about them, not just how much business they did, but the family concerns for the people in the factory that I've never seen exhibited in anyone else I've ever been associated with. It was quite a privilege.
And I think that it's all about the culture of the company. I think that listening to other people, listening to our dealers, what they need, treating them fairly, treating the employees fairly, and it's a culture that we are comfortable with, and it didn't start with me. It started way back before me.
The relationships Clyde cultivated with employees, sales reps, customers, and suppliers gave him a platform for motivating people and building what many regard as one of the best teams in the furniture industry. Clyde always said that happy people are more productive and motivated.
One of my fond memories of Clyde is that when he would be coming through the office, you would always know he was coming because you would hear him speaking to everyone as he passed through the office, and he just had the sweetest, most loving voice.
You knew that the man in the suit had a song He was always whistling, walking down the hall checking on people. He was respected. You always had a sense of comfort with Mr. Hooker. He always made you feel at home.
Clyde made people happy by modeling happiness and good humor. He also made people happy by giving them freedom to make their own decisions within the parameter set. Micromanagement was strictly forbidden. Even when decisions went wrong, he never played blame games.
Clyde Hooker was amazing in his ability to let people make their own decisions and really not even try to influence the decisions and never second guess them. You know, I was in my 30s and making decisions that were impactful to the company, some of them good and some of them not so good. But Clyde never said, I think you should do this. Why did you do that? What were you thinking? He always let us make the decisions, and if they were wrong, he believed that we would learn from them.
Clyde was proactive in motivating others through awards presentations, yearly letters to the sales reps, and messages or personal notes to employees.
The thing I remember about Clyde Hooker that was most meaningful was every Christmas, he would send a letter and not only thank us for the business that we had brought to him, but also inquiring about family and knowing family member names. And along with that, there was always that concern that got deeper and deeper into a lot more than business.
When we were in the administrative office down on Hooker Street, our department windows looked out onto the manufacturing plant. And on July 4th and Christmas, when they were getting ready to close the factory for the week, they would come out and it would either be sweltering hot or freezing cold. And they didn't take their check and run home. They stopped and listened to what Mr. Hooker had to tell them at their semi-annual speech that he would give.
You never were with him without learning something. And anybody that knew Clyde knew what an incredible memory he had. He had just the ability to remember everybody's name, something about them, something about their family. If the kid was good at baseball, he remembered that. If you were a customer, he knew exactly how much business you did this year and what you did last year. And he and Kitty Sue were down once to travel with us. They'd come down for a wedding. And we worked a couple of days before that. And we were out at dinner that night, and my wife Janice was complimenting Clyde on his incredible memory and just the amount of knowledge that he could store. His response was, yeah, but I can't remember to pick up the cleaning on the way home. And that was just the way he was. He was not comfortable with praise on himself, and he wanted to make everybody else better.
Ultimately, Clyde's personal integrity was central to all of his other attributes.
His morals and his ethics, the way that he translated that all the way through the business. And that was really our foundation, and our culture was based on doing the right thing, no matter what.
His motto, Clyde's motto, was always work hard and tell the truth. And that's what my father did every day. And that's what he told me I had to do. It was very simple. He said, Matt, if you want to work a long time for this company, you just have to do two things: work hard and tell the truth.
He taught me it's about respect and integrity. He said, if you treat everybody with respect and integrity, they'll treat you with respect and integrity. And I've always carried that for the 25 to 30 years I've been with Hooker Furniture.
Clyde Hooker's pursuit of integrity began at an early age. He was the first Eagle Scout in Henry County, Virginia.
And I have a 15-year-old who's a Boy Scout. And I always impress upon him that if Mr. Hooker could do it 80 years ago, that he could do it in today's time. And I have a 50-year-old who became an Eagle Scout at the age 15.
We have a certain number of seconds allotted to us each day. I think Clyde used every second of his day for helping others, showing compassion and kindness. Proverbs 22:1 came before me, and I think it represents the man that Clyde was. If you must choose to take a good name rather than great riches, for to be held in loving esteem is better than silver and gold.
No matter who he was talking with, he displayed the same authenticity, the same kindness, the same insight, the same resolve, the same courage. His integrity, the force of his integrity was so great that he projected that integrity upon the Hooker brand itself.
Perhaps because Clyde's character was grounded in integrity, he never hesitated to act and was always decisive.
Clyde Hooker had a saying for when things were tough, and he learned it in the Army. He said, when you're in a foxhole and you're getting shot at, do something. If it doesn't work, do something else. But the worst thing you can do is nothing.
And that's how Clyde liked to do business. He was very decisive. He would take care of business today. He didn't make an appointment for next week and carry things out. He would roll up his sleeves and get it done and move on to the next job.
While Clyde was decisive in business, he was just as quick to take action to invest in the community or to help a person in need.
So I have a full circle type story with Clyde and the Hooker family. Hooker Furniture has a foundation called the Hooker Educational Foundation, and that's where they provide scholarships for the spouses and the children of the Hooker Furniture employees to use towards their first undergraduate college degree. And I'm one of those children that was selected to receive the scholarship. The first week that I was here, Clyde stopped by my desk and told me that I was the first Hooker Furniture scholar to ever return and work for the company, and that he was, with me, he actually was seeing a return on his investment.
But it was just a couple of months ago, and someone came up to me and we started talking. It was a stranger. I didn't even know this person. They were from out of town. And the person looked at me and smiled, and he said, well, you know, let me tell you a story about that. He said, I was a short-time worker in the factory at Hooker. His father had worked here a number of years. And I think he said he was working at Christmas. And he said they handed out Christmas bonuses. And Clyde came out and spoke to people. And then he came up to me and then noticed that other folks had gotten a Christmas bonus, but I really didn't. And nor did I expect it, he said. And the next thing I knew, Clyde had gone back into the office and had them cut me a Christmas check.
Clyde Hooker was a man of action. This was true whether he was making a business decision or whether he was quick to help someone out or to make a contribution to the community. He established or helped establish several college scholarship funds. He served for many years as a trustee of the First United Methodist Church in Martinsville, generously gave to the Piedmont Arts Association and the Martinsville SPCA. Hooker Furniture has long been a corporate leader in local United Way campaigns. Just as Clyde was quick to do good, he did not shy away from or fear change. In fact, he embraced change.
He was a true general manager. He knew as much as was going on in the rough end where the rough lumber was cut as he did out in the field where our sales representatives were selling furniture. He had his finger on the pulse of every bit of this company. As the company grew, one of the things that I respected about him was the fact that he understood that he was going to have to let go. He started surrounding himself with people that had good talents, and he let go of all that hands-on work that he had done for so many years so well. That is the one thing I think that always struck me about Clyde, and I saw many times over the years the same willingness to adapt to change.
Clyde's example of thriving in change helped establish Hooker Furniture's reputation as an early adopter. Many in the industry have looked to Hooker Furniture's leadership and innovation through the years in the areas of manufacturing, technology, sourcing, product development, and environmental stewardship.
It's been a very unusual trip, but it still goes back to people. You're no stronger than the people. And over all those years, we tried to hire the best people we could get.
He taught us to lead, to listen, and to love. Those who drink the water cannot forget the one who dug the well.